Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the last race of the round of 8 to find out who is gonna race for a championship next week at Phoenix. Before we get to Phoenix, we've got tonight the last race of the round of 8 for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We are proud to give you all the coverage here. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. Zach, we got to see a whole lot of racing this season. We've had a lot of highs and lows for these drivers, but tonight, it's the last night. It's time to put up or shut up.
That it is, Sam. Only one more chance to get into that Final Four. We already know one driver's locked in. That's the 13 of Cedric Hunter, but 7 other drivers here tonight enter North Wilkesboro, the famed North Wilkesboro, this 1987 version, and they come here with a chance to try to go and put their name in glory because we know how tough it is to be a champion here at the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. And I tell you, I can't wait here tonight because what a historic track also to set this great Final Four for this group.
Final Four is going to be a strong contender. This is season 3 for the ISRC Truck Series, and here are those 7 drivers trying to battle in. Like you said, Zach, that Cedric Hunter's win last week at Indy has locked him in, but drivers are trying to point their way into the next round, or if they win, they will be locked into our Final Four. You got Mark Whitley. He's going to be 9 points out. 9 points to the good moving into our Final Four. Then you got Nick Crawford, 3rd place, 8 points to the good. 4 points to the good is Danny Cochran. That is 4th place. Then there's the cutoff line. Drivers that are outside looking in, needing a good night here tonight. Trenton Jump, he is 4 points out of our Final Four. Ethan Smith, he is going to be 5 points out of our Final Four. That of Noah Steele is 7 points out. And John Forbes, he needs some good stage points. He is 12 points out from the good. Zach, with the amount of drivers that showed up here tonight, John Forbes, if he does not get enough points at the stage break, going to be in a must-win scenario.
Yeah, and that's going to be tough for sure. As I heard word that it's coming in tonight. This is the first race John Forbes has ran here. So just bought the track himself just before it. So he's going to be having an interesting time learning this racetrack. But yeah, stage point's going to be critical. He's qualified well so far from what we've seen on the board. He's 4th at the moment, so that's good for him there. But I tell you, that 4 outside of that top 4 right now that we currently have, those are some very strong drivers. I mean, Ethan Smith, he's made it each time to the Final Four. He may be looking for the first time to miss it. And then Trenton Jump, your defending champion last season, he may possibly miss it. So it just shows how tough it's going to be.
John Forbes, I mean, I'm excited to see what the 11 brings, but yeah, I think the champion from last season, Trenton Jump, that is kind of the biggest shocker. The 46 caught up in a major wreck last week where we got to see that of Christopher Norris get loose, wipe out the dominant driver from last week at Indy, that being Mark Whitley, with Trenton Jump being involved. John Forbes having a poor run last week, but caught up in multitudes of wrecks. I gotta say, tonight, the drama from last week certainly has put us in a great picture of heavy favorites outside looking in. And can those that are inside look good to move on? I mean, rookies that look to be favorites coming in. Cedric Hunter, we've seen him win championships in other series that we've covered. He's already locked in. But Zach, Nick Crawford in the 4. That's another driver. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring here tonight. It doesn't seem like he's in the biggest, spot of feeling great coming into the night, but feels at least a little bit optimistic that he could move on to the Final Four.
Yeah, he's got to be optimistic, no doubt indeed. I mean, 8 points coming in here, to the good, but still, that's tough. I mean, with stage breaks, if you don't get great points, you could easily see that 8-point gap disappear very quickly. So it looks like he ended up 7th here on the board as qualifying came to an end. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But stage points are going to be super critical, like we've talking about.
We'll talk about more about where these drivers got to run, where the stage points are, and more details. But we've got to take a look at our qualifying results, sponsored by The Laugh Lap. The Laugh Lap is a great Instagram page for quality racing memes. If you want to go check them out, go to _laugh_lap to get yourself some great Instagram content. As taking the Pole Award, a driver that's been on a hot streak since he got knocked out of the playoffs. It's Ali Fonseca in the 24, going to be in 1st place. Danny Cochran, our bubble driver, 4th place in points. Going to be in 2nd. Ethan Smith, outside looking in, going to be in 3rd place. John Forbes, needing some major points. He's going to be in 4th. Mark Whitley, the driver, most points coming into the night. Not locked in just yet. He'll be in 5th. Noah Steele, the major underdog driver, Will the Cinderella story continue on? He'll start in 6th place. Nick Crawford going to be in 7th. He comes in 3rd in points. Nolan Hicks going to be the first of our non-playoff drivers in 8th. Then it's Cedric Hunter falling all the way down to 9th place for the 13. And the last season's champion, Trenton Jump, finishing out our top 10.
In the 11th spot, it's going to be the 12 of Ryan Ferraro. 12th is going to go to Cody Reed. 13th is going to be Christopher Norris. 14th is going to be Joshua Freed, the 96 machine. 15th is going to be Jonathan Smith. 16th is going to go to Anthony Gaudio. The last 4 cars did not take time, but 17th is going to be GT Irizarry. 18th is going to be Martin Morales. 19th is going to be Tyler Dingler. And rounding out our 20 truck field here tonight, it's Robert Hattenback.
20 drivers showing up here tonight, and looking at the field currently right now. Excited to see how some of the drivers are going to run. Robert Hattenback going to be missing the grid, as Ryan Ferraro, 12, will start in the middle of the field at 12. He's missed the majority of the season. Excited to see how he's going to run for these last 2 races here this season. Up front, Ollie Fonseca, Danny Cochran. Where will they lie? Will there be any gamemanship? We've seen Ollie Fonseca ever since he got bumped out. He's been running hard to try to get the best of the rest award of all the drivers that have not made it this far into the playoffs. The 24 has been a strong driver, but up front, Zach, I think Danny Cochran, last time we were at a short track, felt like he should have been the driver that won at that track.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen the last episode of the long run, he felt like, maybe that the restart would have went different at the start of the Nashville, at the fairgrounds. He could have been in a different position compared to that 77. But now he's on that outside line, that preferred groove that he wanted at Nashville. Now he's got it here at North Wilkesboro. We'll see how it works here down in 1 and 2. But Fonseca, though, got to give him credit for a great qualifying lap, as he's been on fire, like you said, ever since he's got knocked out.
Driver, the 00, right behind Ollie Fonseca, Ethan Smith. His goal, beat out Trenton Jump. Try to be ahead of Nick Crawford and get as many stage points as possible. But for our front runners, for all the playoff drivers that are left in the Elite 8, it's time to go green flag racing for the Logan led 170 here at North Wilkesboro. And they're already pointing a little bit of 3-wide action. Ollie Fonseca trying to hold that bottom groove, as here comes Danny Cochran on the outside.
Yeah, trying to hold that upper groove. It was Ethan Smith, the first one to look there to make it 3 wide, and he's going to be 3 wide in that second row. As Mark Whitley, he's going to take advantage of that and try to get 2 passes done here through the middle, and Ethan Smith loose off a 4. That drops him back, but right now still side by side for the lead up front. Cochran fighting hard for that position. 1 and 2 is going to be the preferred groove up top, and he finally does clear down here in the 3.
Able to clear, but for how long? The driver that is on the move, the 77 of Mark Whitley, already up 2 positions in just our first 3 laps here tonight. And Mark Whitley looking strong, but there's already issues further on back. It's Jonathan Smith, Mark Whitley's teammate, that gets spun around for the 72 back in 19th position.
Oh man, unfortunate break there for Jonathan. It looks like just made a mistake coming out of turn number 4 there, and just head first into the wall. So that's a tough break for him here to start the race, but doesn't like actually hitting that wall too hard. It gave him too much damage, but we'll get to see the instant replay here from Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And down here into 3 and 4, this corner is very, very tricky. The 1 and 2, you kind of like to prefer the top groove here. Down here is the bottom, but when you come off side by side here, sometimes that rear end just steps out when you hold it down there lower on the racetrack, and that's kind of what happened there to the 72. Just lost the rear, tried to catch it, and when the front tires did hook up, it put him head first into the wall.
There's just not enough weight being placed on that front tire for that of the 72. That rear end just loops it around and going to find himself all the way back in 19th position, as that of Robert Hattenback was not able to start tonight's race. So we'll only have that at 19 officially out on track. First yellow is out, and Danny Cochran able to get least lead this lap, and is going to be our leader on this restart. Zach, that's a bonus point to be grabbed, as the drivers have plenty of other bonus points for themselves. We're talking about stage points. Stage break is at lap 70, the end of lap 70. Top 10 drivers get stage points, where first place will get 10 points, then it goes down by 1. So second will get 9 points, third gets 8, and it continues on until 10th place. You get 1 bonus point. You also can get a bonus point for leading a lap, and you can give that to the 31, and as well 3 bonus points for leading the most laps, 1 point for 0 incident points. Man, you don't get in any contact with Zach. You're at a short track, that 1 bonus point for 0 incidents is going to be a difficult one.
Yeah, I mean, normally a driver comes here and says it's tough to get a bonus point for leading a lap or leading the most laps, because, it's just tough to get to lead and be that quick. But I think the toughest thing to hear that a lot of drivers will be fighting is trying to find that 0 incident bonus point. So whoever does, it could come back to be the point that matters, because, I mean, we've seen in multiple rounds now that has been tiebreakers, you know, in one round, especially where we had 3 trucks tied and they had to go to a tiebreaker. I mean, that 1 point could come back to be the person who, you know, gets that 4th and final spot. So this is, you know, like we've said, every single season, every single playoff race, every point matters. And even those 0 incident points, they could come back to be the reason why. It's a make or break season for yourself. So we'll see who gets that. That's going to be a tough one to definitely earn, but looks like Cochran here going to have the outside groove here looking to control this restart.
How comfortable can he be? And will Ollie Fonseca looks like that. Mark Whitley's already ready to get rolling. He's hugging that back bumper of the 24. The pace truck gets ready to pull off. Danny Cochran, Ollie Fonseca. They were our front row at the start of the race as 31 gets the launch he wanted. That outside lane looks good on the restarts, and Ollie now trapped on the inside lane. He's got to be careful for the 24 because he's in the same position. We just saw that of Ethan Smith earlier, and he's still going to have that preferred inside line as we see Mark Whitley trying to figure out where to go as John Forbes. That outside lane's looking good for the 11.
That it really is. He got a great run off the top there, and now it's Nick Crawford fighting Noah Steele, who's almost into the rear bumper of the 0-0 there at Ethan Smith. That's what you don't want to see. For these guys all fighting. They all are playoff drivers trying to fight to get as many points here, but you can't end up wrecked. So we'll see how it all works out. But yeah, that top groove so far has looked to be pretty strong for that drive off the corner. It looks like Nick Crawford will make the pass on Hicks.
And Nolan Hicks, Ollie Fonseca, some of the top drivers that are no longer in our Elite 8. Nolan Hicks has been looking very strong at these short tracks. Excited to see how well he's going to perform. The last time we saw him this strong for that at the 86 machine was at Rockingham. We didn't get to stream it, but he looked very strong in that race as we hop on board the front bumper of the 46 at Trenton Jump. Last season's champion, wanting to defend that crown the best that he can, but trapped at this current moment, and Zach's right on board with 46. It's a little claustrophobic with the way these drivers are running.
Oh man, you can tell that the 46 is trying to get a little deep into the corner compared to the 4 who may be trying to back it up a little bit here. But the 46 trying to get everything out of that entry, and it was getting close between those two there. But it seems like the 4 having some trouble clear. This 86, he was clear at one moment, and then the 86 got back to the inside. So Hicks fighting strong there with these playoff drivers. Is now we get a look from Cody Reed in the 25. He's also going to have, I believe, the 13 Cedric Hunter right behind him. So this group right here, some tough drivers. Crawford. And that's a tough break right there because that's an easy mistake to be made.
And that's going to be bonus points taken away for both, as that and Nick Crawford's able to stay in 9th place. Cedric Hunter has to fall back because of that jostle from the 46, and just in a blink of an eye. Now, some of the drivers were talking about the loose entry. A lot of drivers weren't projecting to see how well they could hold on to that, but obviously struggle point there for the 46, who just lost all grip and had the 4 to use as a bumper.
Yeah, luckily he had the 4 there. He would have been a much bigger slide up the racetrack. He kind of used him as his stopping point there for him. So great job by Nick Crawford holding on to that with that contact there. But like you said, that's the bonus point gone for both of those drivers who desperately need them. They're looking to get themselves in there and fight for a championship. But good to see the 3 machine back out here. Anthony Gaudia, he's been gone for a few weeks out there, and now good to see him back out here fighting once again.
Yeah, switching up the color schemes is the 3 going with the Oreo Gold, as he is currently running back in 13th position. In front of him, he's got that of Ryan Ferraro, and well, seeing the battling between contenders, that of Trenton Jump, Cedric Hunter. And it's always interesting to hear drivers' reasonings on why they showed up to start racing in ISRC. Cedric Hunter, it felt like all of off-season coming into season 3, it was, I wanted to figure out if I can beat the 46 for a championship. Well, it could be a fact that 46 doesn't even make the Final 4 at this point, with the fact that Cedric Hunter's already locked in with his win last week. I mean, Zach, that is the storyline I was so excited to call going into next week, was how this 13 was going to race around that of Trenton Jump.
Yeah, it's a tough thing and deal because, you know, Trenton Jump coming off that last season championship, you know, everybody was expecting a lot out of him. And, you know, it's been a lot of tough breaks. He doesn't have a win yet, but he technically, you know, got a few probably taken away from him there just due to circumstances. So, you know, he can't be too sad on the season, I feel like. But if he doesn't make this Final 4, I think he's going to go back and say, man, this was just a very difficult and just a season where he could never get his footing underneath him. So tough to see that from our defending champion. But he's still got a shot here. There's plenty of time here tonight to make up that points that he needs to do. But at the moment, it doesn't seem good. It seems like the 13 of Cedric Hunter is able to work that bottom a little bit better. And he's going to be trying to make the pass on this 46.
We've seen Cedric Hunter in other leagues of the vehicles run well here at North Wilkesboro, and this track really seems to suit the driving style of the 13 pretty well if you look at the fact that this is a short track. Get loose, and oh no, speaking of loose, there's Nolan Hicks on the inside.
Yeah, take the words right out of your mouth right there as the 86. It loops it there off of 4, similar kind of what the Jonathan Smith did. But yeah, I mean, as this run goes on, those rear tires are going to get worse. I know that a lot of the guys were talking about how these trucks were tight and the turn wasn't there. But when that tight condition gets worse, those rear tires also tend to trend to that side also. And you start to get that tight, loose condition coming off these corners. And right there, the 86 is the unfortunate spinner right there for that second caution of the night there as we bring him back to under yellow.
Second caution of the night, which gives us time to give a thanks to some of our sponsors here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. If you've been ever wanting to get yourself some equipment to be notified of what the track state is on track, well, head on over to iRacing iFlag. iRacing iFlag has their patented iFlag virtual flag system, which gives you clear indications on what the flag state is. So if there's a yellow flag, it blinks at you with a yellow color. Green flag, guess what? You get that green color, and plenty of other flag state colors get blinked at you to be notified on what's going on track behind you or in front. Go head over to iRacingIFlag.com and use our promo code FreakyFast2022. 2022 year is coming to a close here very quickly, and Zach, it's crazy to think we got tonight with ISRC Truck Series, and as well tomorrow night the Full Send Racing Series. Those are the only series that we've got covered for the rest of the year, and they're both only just a few weeks away from being done.
Yeah, Phoenix next week for these guys for the championship, and then you got 3 more weeks of racing there for Full Send as they got Homestead tomorrow night. So yeah, it's that time of the year. You know, everything's winding down sim racing wise, but it's still great to be here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, bringing everybody this late season action, and we'll get to crown 2 more champions before we close out the books on 2022 and come back for 2023. But some interesting stuff going down here under this caution. We did have 3 cars pit. I mean, Hicks, you know, he just had that spin. He came down. Looks like he topped off, didn't get any tires. And the same for Trenton Jump. Looks like he got some damage work going on that truck, and same for the 4 machine in at Crawford. So those guys taking this time here to get their trucks worked on and see if they can get them in a little bit better position.
And that damage, I'm curious on how bad it is going to be hurting the 4 and the 46. The 4 comes back into pit road. So we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing for these drivers. So Nick Crawford has got to be quick on it because he is in a chance of going a lot down if he doesn't get enough repairs. With how small this track is, with it being just a little bit over a half a mile in distance, with being at 0.63 miles, the full course, got to be quick if you're coming into pit road to get back out there on track, because we're back to green flag racing as Danny Cochran's gone once again.
Yeah, great start there from that 31.
Steele!
No, behind him.
Noah Steele gets shoved right in the outside wall. That Cody Reed's going to be on the downstretch in the grass. And just in a blink of an eye, our Cinderella story is over as now 4 drivers up the wall. That's Ryan Ferraro stuck on the wall. Yellow flag.
And he's flipping and tumbling off the wall. So extracurricular activities here happening in that North Wilkesboro, something you didn't expect. But man, oh man, that was the first initial thing was contact from Cody Reed to the 8 machine. So unfortunate to see a non-playoff driver getting into another playoff one.
And that of going to be seen. This is what brought out the yellow. As you see that of the 25 and the gate further on back. But watch out for the 72. Jonathan Smith, not even aware, just comes flying up into Ryan Ferraro, who gets pinched in the outside wall. And Zach, we saw this during practice a lot. The drivers, these trucks, they want to ramp up on the wall if you're not careful.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see because it seems like that contact with the wall, just the tires make immediate contact, and it just seems like the truck goes up on 2 wheels from that point on. We saw it multiple times in the practice session there, so this was kind of to be expected if that happened. And unfortunately for Ferraro, he flips on top of his roof there, and that is going to pretty much end his night possibly, as he's going to have to take a tow back to pit road, and we'll see if they can get that truck worked on and what type of damage else is on that 12 machine. But tough break for him there. But man, not too surprised by that because of what we've seen in practice so many times.
And Ryan Ferraro is called it a night already, is done and toasted. That of Noah Steele, you hate to see it. The Cinderella story for the 8 machine. A lot of drivers were not even expecting Noah to make it out of the round of 16. Made it out of the round of 16. Made it out of the round of 12. needed a miracle run here tonight. Required damage has now been given to the 8 machine. He's in pit road, and who knows when he'll get back out there, as he is currently 1 lap down, make it 2 now for Noah Steele.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be definitely a little bit upset with how that all worked out. I think the 25 there and him just going for the same real estate on the racetrack. I think Steele was trying to get in there tight on the door of Forbes and the 11 machine, that try to hold that position and find what he needed, but just a tough break, hard racing, and now he's required damage, like you said.
And now the drivers up front. We got ourselves another break, but it's time to get back to green flag racing. For that, Logan's led 175. We are back green here at North Wilkesboro. Danny Cochran's gone, Ollie Fonseca, but here comes that Cedric Hunter, the 13. Gonna have to try to make that outside lane work. And what's interesting to watch is the 13 gets a massive run out of turn 2. Mark Whitley still trapped and mired in 4th place. He has not been able to move up any more than that 4th place position.
Yeah, he's been kind of trapped there. He's been able to get the 3rd a few times, but when you restart there in that spot, it's just tough because you're on that bottom lane and you just get held back by everybody on that top group getting a good run off. So it is something that's common you see here, but man, I tell you what, with how this is all shaking up now, it's going to be interesting to see how everybody can try to come back from their early mistakes here and early loss of track position.
As a right on the back bumper of Christopher Norris, who's running in 5th place. Again, a lot of drivers into pit road getting damage repair. It's really fluctuated where drivers are on track. As you see, GT Irizarry, one of our biggest movers so far of the night, is that 14 machine. As seen some playoff contenders, that of Mark Whitley, Cedric Hunter, and also narrowly got bounced out of the playoffs up front. But you see Nick Crawford trying to make his way forward. But Zach, these 2 drivers of the 4, the 00, as well as the 25 and the 11, a bunch of rivalries built there between Snowy Desert and that of Blackjack Racing.
That it has been. It's definitely been a talking point for sure on a few episodes of the long run, and yeah, it's definitely been fun to watch that develop throughout the whole entire season. And I didn't see anything too malicious between these guys. I think they just all race each other very, very hard, and when you put everything on the line out there, you can get a little upset at your competition. So it's easy to have that happen, to have those rivalries form. But looks like Reed trying to do his best here to hold back the 4, but the 4 able to work that bottom groove, and now almost able to clear the 25. He should be able to clear him here down into 3 and 4, as the 25 is going to drive it off in there, but through the middle, the 4 is going to get it done, and he'll have Hicks next in front of him. And one thing I did notice, the 4, when he came down and got all that truck worked on, he took right sides only. I think he's trying to free that truck up.
Trying to get a little bit more of that rear end action moving along, as Cody Reed just does not look comfortable. He'll fall back in. Might be a little bit of team orders today. Fall in line. Did a good job trying to hold off the 4, but we've got to go forward for that of Ethan Smith, John Forbes, needing all the points they can. Both of those Blackjack drivers coming in tonight outside of our Final 4. And Ethan Smith, that 00, comes in. Fun fact, he is the most starts of anyone in ISRC history, as that is 6 wins for this 00 in his history of running, and is the only driver in ISRC history to be in the Final 4 for the last 2, for every Final 4 this series has had. He's trying to make it 3 in a row if he could somehow find himself with a lot of points here at a stage break.
That would be a heck of a stat to carry with himself, and I know that's what he deep down inside is thinking of. He's thinking, man, this is my shot to go back and get that back into the Final 4, and this time they'll get that championship that he definitely thinks that he deserves. And every driver that gets there, they do deserve it, and that's going to be the thing that's going to be fun to watch heading into Phoenix next week. But we still got a lot to be determined there, as Nick Crawford finally did get the pass on GT Irizarry, but seems like our top 4, they broke away a little bit from Christopher Norris, as those newer tires are starting to come through, but we're already past halfway to the stage. These laps click away very quick at North Wilkesboro.
Our stage break at the end of lap 70, so our top 10 drivers will get those stage points. And for that, Danny Cochran, for Cedric Hunter, Mark Whitley, they are loving where they're at. Again, Cedric Hunter already locked into our Final 4. There are only 3 spots open. Danny Cochran kind of trying to do the Mark Whitley route of just dominate a race. And if he gets stage points, gets the most laps led, he is in a great spot for himself. But up front, driver spinning out. That's Cedric Hunter spinning in front of the drivers and somehow avoiding everybody.
Yeah, I think a little bit of contact from the 77, but I don't think it was anything malicious. It was just the 77 holding the bottom group. The 13 was entering a little bit higher, but I think we'll get a good look here on this instant replay, like what exactly happened here as they come out of 2. The 77 a little bit tight there, loses a little bit of ground to the 13. The 13 is going to drive off in here into 3 and 4, and I think he backs it up a little bit more than the 77, and the 77 is coming very quickly and just right into that left rear part of the bumper. And when, if he would have hit maybe the center part of the bumper, it probably wouldn't have been nearly as bad as that. But luckily for Cedric there, he's locked in, but he spins it around and keeps it kind of going in a nice orderly direction.
And Zach, I think this is not the stat that a lot of these drivers want to hear, but in most traditional Cedric Hunter races that he spins out and he does not get heavy damage and somehow is still running, usually he wins that race. So rest of the field might be feeling a little bit of that pain if he finds himself getting some extra speed after that spin, as Christopher Norris into pit road, as well as everyone else following behind, going to be following that 38 machine.
Yeah, I believe he's done it here even at this track before too. So definitely maybe some foreshadowing for later to come, but he's going to have to find a little bit more speed in that 13. I think he was still trying to find the grip levels here that he needs to have. So we'll see how that 13 rebounds from that. But look at this strategy definitely playing out now, as we've had a good portion of the field come down here the pit, and it's going to be Cochran back in 7th, who's the first one off of pit road. But the 4, Nick Crawford, the 00, Ethan Smith, John Forbes here, all these drivers who need these points stay out, and they're going to try to see if they can get to that lap 70 stage in a much better position.
And Zach, we think about points. Ethan Smith kind of, you could say, threw away points last week at Indianapolis. Pitted the lap before the stage break at Indianapolis. He was in 8th place. That was 3 points that he could have had, which would have made the gap between himself and Danny Cochran much smaller. It could have been just a 1 to 2 point buffer between himself and that cutoff position. And now the 00 in a position where he needs some major bonus points to try to catch up to the 31, who at this moment has the most laps led and is trying to go for that 3 bonus points. That would be crucial to move Danny Cochran into our Final Four.
Yeah, it really would be crucial for him for sure, and we'll see if he can make his way back up here. But, before that little bit of contact there between the 13 and the 77, that 24, he was definitely putting a lot of pressure on the 31. I think Ali Fonseca is saying, yeah, you guys might be fighting to get into the Final Four, but this is my shot at another win this season. And if he can do that, that would be a big deal here in the penultimate race. That's a huge deal. This is when everybody brings their best stuff and is at their best. So if Ali Fonseca can get the win here tonight, it'd be huge for him.
Ali Fonseca is just always thinking about the what ifs. Again, he was tied at the cutoff breaker of that round of 12. Did not work out for himself. As we're back to green flag racing, Nick Crawford, Ethan Smith going to be finding themselves up front. Nick Crawford's going to be getting the good gap for himself. Now it's the teammates side by side for second. Forbes on the inner groove. Jonathan Smith gets shoved up the outside lane. They're going to be 3 wide. Joshua Freed stuck in the middle, and that's not where he wants to be. That 69 machine not in a safe place, as they're going to be figuring out how to get side by side. But a real scary spot for a lot of drivers, and Jonathan Smith getting the worst of it.
That he did, man. He got body slammed by that 96 of Freed there down in the 1 and 2 and up the racetrack and just hard into the outside wall. So unfortunate for Jonathan Smith. He's going to lose every bit of track position he stayed out for, but he's got plenty of time here to make that back up. But look at this here, the stack up. It's going to be Reed on the back bumper of the 31 of Cochran. Here's the 77 of Whitley. He's finally got past Fonseca through all of this traffic, and now a Cochran up to 4th. How fast will the tires come through here with Ethan Smith, John Forbes up here in front?
Well, it's not going to be long. Yellow flag's going to be thrown. And backstretch, it's the 3 machine of Anthony Gaudio, who's going to be bringing out this yellow. And it looks like another driver getting a tad bit of a bump to assist them around the corner. And Zach, that of 20 laps to go before our stage break. These drivers are just going to make it more and more intense on this final push for themselves, as we got a few drivers still have not pitted tonight, that being Cody Reed and that of Joshua Freed.
Yeah, a lot of decisions still to be made here, and I think the bed's been made for the guys that have stayed out at this point. So I think they're going to look to stay out here, and personally, these cautions help. It brings the tire temp back down to earth for them, kind of evens out everybody behind them's tires, and at this point, this is what the 4, the 00, and the 11 want to see. I mean, but at the same time, if you're the 4, this is a huge gain for him, especially because he came in here tonight 8 points to the good. But for Danny Cochran, he's got to try to get up there and get past these guys, because he knows if he can go get those 10 bonus points, that'll help propel him up the order, and along with Mark Whitley, because it's just so close right around that cut line that any of these points right here could be the points that matter when this race completely ends.
And with some of the drivers that have had some major damage that are still in pit road dealing with it, that of Noah Steele still in pit road, as well as Jonathan Smith, Ryan Ferraro's out of this race. We're down to just that of 16 drivers on track, meaning the amount of points you can grab after the stage is very minimal. You got to be making sure that you get a big portion of your points at our stage break and then have a strong finish at the end if you're one of those drivers outside looking in. Again, those drivers to watch out for: Trenton Jump, that of Ethan Smith, Noah Steele, and that of John Forbes, all needing some major points. And I was watching on that last run before the yellow flag came out. Trenton Jump was looking very aggressive, but he's also got Cedric Hunter behind him. They're back in 8th and 9th place. I wouldn't be surprised if they start to show some magic once Danny Cochran and Mark Whitley try to duel it with Ethan Smith and that of Nick Crawford.
Yeah, we know how tough these passes are going to be, especially with these guys on the older tires. They're going to be fighting because they know every point again it matters. So they're going to fight with everything they got here to hold them back. And I think that might be Nick Crawford's best chance here to get a good finish. He needs to get a good start here, because if he can get that 31 to race with that 11, race with that 00, that might open up the door there for him to be able to open up just a tiny bit of a gap there and be, you know, maybe not the stage winner, but the farthest finisher up of the guys on the oldest set of tires. So this is a huge deal, and he's going to take the top groove here. And this is going to be interesting because now he gives the 31 that good, clean look to the back bumper of the leader. And when you're the 31, you're licking your chops right now. You're saying, man, this is exactly what I wanted. If he would have started on the bottom, I would have had to wait on the 00. Now he's going to be able to go at full speed here and try to get to the outside of the quarter panel of this 00 on the restart. And that'll be huge for this 31 if he can.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things where I think if he had a spotter, would probably told him to swap it, but we'll see how this launch wants to go for the Ford Nick Crawford. Can he get a good enough launch and hope that Ethan Smith can follow in line and try to hold off Danny Cochran? Here we go. Pace car is off, and we're back to green flag racing. 15 laps to go here at the stage.
Here we go. Like I said, that Ford got a great jump, but the 31 with that outside move was able to get right on the quarter panel of that 00, and now they're side by side here, heading down to 3 for a critical gain in points here for both of these drivers. I know Ethan Smith, he's going to fight for everything here, but the older set of tires is going to make this all that much more tough as Cochran almost clears him down in the 1.
And if Ethan Smith wants any way to point his way into the next round, he's going to have to do something aggressive here with Danny Cochran. He cannot afford the 31 to get any more advantage on the points, but they're closing in on the 4. Out of turn number 4, they're going to be side by side, and it looked like the center of the corner, Danny Cochran was about to make that outside lane roll, but here comes Mark Whitley in the 77.
Yeah, here he comes too, those newer tires, and right now Nick Crawford's going to give up the top groove to the 31, and he's a little bit loose too. I've seen this Ford been fighting the rear end here, especially coming off of turn number 4 right there, having to really counter steer and lose all the drive off that truck has. And that right there, I think, could be coming down to that 2-tire change. Those right sides being a little bit fresher than the left. That is going to make that truck want to rotate a lot more. And now Cochran with the clean pass off of 2.
Lead is swapped, and here comes the 77, the 24. They're going to be trying to make this late push, as here comes that of Danny Cochran leading the way and back to where it was starting out these first couple of laps of this race, as we're coming up to 10 to go before our stage break is done. And the drivers also know if a caution happens at lap 65 to lap 70, that will count as a stage break. So you have to still stay on the throttle pedal and grab every position possible.
Yeah, and that'll go in a blink of an eye here as they're just completing lap 60. So only 5 more laps before that is a fact if the caution comes out. So we'll see how hard they fight here. But Crawford up the racetrack there, almost Ethan Smith into him. I think the 4 fighting the handling here as he's gotten passed now by the 24. Now going to be on the outside of the 00. This is the 00's chance, though. Can he get past Nick Crawford? This is the battle between old tires.
He needs to make this move, and then the 11 behind him is just hoping that they don't wreck, because for John Forbes, his eye is now turned to not just stage points, but go for the win. There's just not enough points for themselves, as up front, the battle for the lead is now underway. Danny Cochran trying to hold off on the outside. Mark Whitley just so aggressive on the entry. The 77 now going to be having a nose for a second, but the 31 just too strong on the outside.
Huge moments for both of these drivers. They came in to the good here tonight, but not by too much, as Whitley had the best chance to move on by points, and now loose off of 4. That gives Cochran another chance here down into 1 and 2, and you see they both slide up the racetrack hard fighting for this lead here, as this is going to be a great battle all the way to the end of lap 70.
This was the duel Danny Cochran wanted back at Nashville Fairgrounds. It just never happened. Mark Whitley got the lead and it never looked back. And Cochran knows he cannot afford to let the 77 have the fresh air or the preferred line. He's got to make this outside lane work as the 77's rear end drifts on the entry of turn 1. Here comes the run from Danny Cochran at 2.
Yeah, that outside groove, it's tough to make it work. You got to be very, very patient. If you overdrive it, wash up too far, that 77 will clear him in the middle, but he's just laying on the quarter round just enough there as they come off a 4, sliding sideways, almost making contact, heading down the 1. This is some great racing. The 77 tries to slide him, but oh no, didn't clear him, and that was into the quarter panel, but yellow's out.
And that's the stage. It's a big one on the front stretch.
Oh no, definitely some leftover wreck remnants there, so looks like maybe Hicks was involved in that in 86 along with Christopher Norris.
Oh, Joshua Freed coming in with the race-ending barrel roll. We're going to see it here on the Freaky Fast Instant replay as that of Tyler Dangler is going to get a great view of Freed just saying, I don't need the brakes after seeing an incident in front of him.
Yeah, I think this incident has happened a well bit before him, and you can see everybody here bouncing left and right, and still, you know, looks like Freed just didn't get woed up enough. You see the guys behind him, Reed, also Tyler Dingler, they come to a complete stop, and Freed here, I don't know if he was just trying to go for that hole, and it was not there, and now he's going to end up on his roof, but I think he does actually end up on his wheels, so unfortunate for him, but I think that'll also bring it into his night as he's pulled it behind the wall along with Nolan Hicks.
And that will be our stage break for these drivers here tonight. And Mark Whitley, with the fact that where he was placed, he will get those stage points as the drivers get themselves ready. We're going to take a quick break. That counts as a stage break. They were on lap 66 when the yellow was thrown, which was inside the window for the drivers to count. As we will step aside, you're watching the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. This is the last race of the round of 8. Who's going to be racing for the championship next week? Well, we'll find out here very shortly. You won't miss a thing. We'll go side by side here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll see you in a few.
You wanted the best. You got them for a rest. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt. The World of Outlaws. Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today.
He's following, they're wrecking, they're splitting, and it's a complete mayhem.
We have a wreck at the front. 19 goes down into the 7, takes out the 00.
They're 5 wide behind for fifth. Oh my. 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work, is it? They're already wrecking into turn 1, and now coming through that of turn 2. This is it, the Daytona. Oh no, they're wrecking contact. Sets gets into the wall, gonna be scattering on the outside. Drivers on the apron, drivers coming out of nowhere. Edison on the outside, trying to get the win, and it's William Edison stealing it at the line.
The wall. The 18 trying to block. 77 gets into the 18. That leaves 3 of TJ Roberts. 17 to Gavin Rogers. 3 of TJ Roberts is going to steal the win here.
He went second fiddle so many times last season. Christopher Wade wins the season 5 Daytona 200. Drivers, start your engines! 4, 3, 2, 1, green screen.
whatsoever. I'm sideways. Sideways everywhere. Come on, man. Do what you can. The vibration in this car is the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. We're done with stage brick racing. It's all about taking it to the end, as Mark Whitley got a fabulous launch, and he is pulling away, giving us a little bit of deja vu from that of Nashville Fairgrounds, as you are watching the Logan's led 175 here at Nashville that of North Wilkesboro, excuse me, as our Nashville Fairgrounds winner is leading the way, but certainly some hungry drivers behind. Danny Cochran is in front and second, right on board with Ollie Fonseca in third, as he's trying to figure out how to prey on this 31 machine. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Zach Hall. Robert Moyer running productions in the background. Zach, certainly a wild start to this race. Already know the two things for certain. Fact that of seeing Cedric Hunter's win last week, he's locked into the next round, and Noah Steele officially out.
Yeah, it's a tough break for Steele. He had such a great run through all these playoff rounds, and it's going to be just an unfortunate mistake there that takes him out of this. So, oh man, riding on board here with Cedric Hunter, you can see the counter steer he just had. He's definitely, that was probably a lot of good luck on his side that nothing ended up worse there for him, as he's already had one spin tonight, but right there, Forbes was able to make a critical pass for himself. But man, oh man, it's definitely shaking out to be a little bit different. Cochran's now got passed by Fonseca in that 24. I mean, the Flames on this truck, they're matching what he's been tonight. He's been on fire. So we'll see how it all shakes out from here on out.
And if you are just joining us now for tonight's race of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, well, we've had a total of 6 cautions here tonight. A lot of self-spins, a lot of contact with one another. We've had a couple of big wrecks that have cost us a few drivers. That Joshua Frida's out, Nolan Hicks, Noah Steele, Ryan Ferraro, all officially out of this race. As Jonathan Smith still on pit road, trying to get that 72 machine back out there on track. This is a cutoff race for these drivers. Major points have been grabbed by Mark Whitley, who, based on the amount of drivers that are still here, it's looking good that he might be able to move on. Same could be said for Nick Crawford and Danny Cochran, but they've got to watch out. Trenton Jump champion from last season, he's still in the hunt. Ethan Smith's still in the hunt. And John Forbes, I mean, with the amount of drivers that are left here, Zach, and the amount of bonus points that have been thrown out, I'd say the 11 might be one of the drivers in a must-win scenario coming into tonight's race.
Yeah, I think that's kind of entered into that picture for him now with how that stage did play out. So tough for John Forbes, but he'll have to try everything in his power. He's shown a good bit of speed here tonight already in this 11, but just hasn't had that race-winning speed that he's going to need, because, man, I tell you, Whitley's just doing what he does, man. He gets out front, and he does his own little disappearing act. He just really pushes hard on these first initial laps, and he's able to really open up a gap that makes it tough for these guys to run him back down. So we'll see if anybody can challenge him for the rest of the night. I'm sure we'll have a few, cautions here and there to try to allow someone to do that, but it's going to be tough for John Forbes to get that done, as they've now passed his teammate, Cody Reed. So it looks like Cedric Hunter will try to follow him through.
Cedric Hunter trying his best to get by this 25 machine. Then behind them is Trenton Jump and also GT Azari, as that is our top 10 and where they're running currently on track, as drivers starting to settle in. And Zach, I got to say, with that last wreck, a lot of drivers that usually find themselves having troubles out of this race now. This was a possibility. There's a chance this race could turn into some green flag racing action as we fall back to the 12. Mark Morales was caught up in some early issues. Christopher Norris as well, issues, but they're now in trouble. Christopher Norris going to be one of those not to go a lap down with Mark Whitley. And Zach, we saw both these drivers on screen have issues last week at Indy, and Norris gets out of the way immediately.
Yeah, I think that's a good call for the 38, who definitely doesn't want to ruin that 77's race again. I mean, that was an unfortunate mistake. Nothing there that really he probably saw coming, but he was just trying really hard to fight the 77 last week in Indianapolis and took the 77 for a ride. So right there being very, very courteous and letting him get by. Now he's got the 24 Fonseca. Looks like he'll let him go down to the inside. But as I said, he actually kind of drives it in there and tries to keep it on the quarter panel. So it was like maybe kind of repaying the 77 back for what he did to him last week.
Zach did a couple of calculations based off the bonus points that are out there to be grabbed. Trenton Jump, Ethan Smith, and John Forbes, all of them, with the amount of drivers that are still out there on track, they all are practically a must-win scenario. All drivers that were inside our top 4, that being Cedric Hunter already locked in, but Mark Whitley, Nick Crawford, Danny Cochran, all had some fabulous bonus points grabbed at our stage break, and now all in some prime opportunity positions to be moving on. Now it's the duel between Nick Crawford and Danny Cochran. There's just a 1-point difference on who would be that bubble driver. And then if we see somehow Ethan Smith win this race or someone else, they are going to be finding themselves moving and bumping out one of our final 4 contenders.
That it would be, man. And this is that's a huge deal for him. And Ethan Smith there just he ran through that lap traffic of Christopher Norris and actually moved him out of the way there. As I think he ran up on the 38. The 38 didn't get out of the way like he liked, and he just said, you know, you're going to be moving out of the way. And now, right behind him, the 4's caught up to him, but also John Forbes has now been able to get to the inside here, and he's trying to do everything in his power to move his way up because he's going to definitely be in a must-win spot.
Trying to move forward the best that they can as they continue to duel out. And Nick Crawford, he's still in a position where he needs to move forward because with where he's running, Danny Cochran would be in a spot to push the 4 into that 4th place position and would get bounced out if we see that of the 11 of the 00 win.
Yeah, and that's the position you don't want to be in because you never know who's going to win this race. Yes, Whitley's leading very strong right now, but if the 00 or 11 get in the position here later in this race that they need to be in, then that'll be the situation that the 4 doesn't want to see because he has definitely fell back into that 4th position when it comes to the points. But still, a lot of points to be gained by the 11 and 00 and the 00 there, so they're pretty much, like you said already, in must-win positions. So we'll see what kind of strategy can they find. Maybe it'll be something here under cautions if we get those cautions, but we'll have to see because right now, like you said, it's kind of gotten to a green flag, a little bit of a run here. The field is definitely thinned out with a lot of people already wrecking out of this race, and it's definitely the possibility of going green here is definitely in the books.
And Christopher Norris, just too much damage collected on the 38 machine. He's got a required damage flag, so he's forced into pit road. We've only got that of 12 drivers out on track, 11 of them on the lead lap, with Mark Morales Jr. being the one driver lap down. Tyler Dangler would be the next on the list to go a lap down as you see him on screen. He's still got a decent gap between himself and our leader, just out of 6 seconds, but we've got our field dwindling it down very quickly as our top 10 still in pretty close proximity to one another.
Yeah, they definitely are still in close proximity here, but you can see right here is a 25. There's also Trenton Jump in the 46 machine, DT Zari, but tough deal for them there as they're trying to make the most out of what they have here as they're trying to run down this group up here. But I think also the 11 of Forbes just a second ago, he made a little bit of a mistake, got loose into 1. And now he's going to have the 4 back to his inside and now even possibly the 13.
75 laps to go here tonight. And as you see that of the battling on screen as the 11 gets loose once again on the exit of the corner. That's going to scrub off some time and speed for the straightaway. Has to get aggressive once again. And for John Forbes, it is a trusting factor that he's going into as Nick Crawford. I think that loose sensation out of 4 is starting to pop up again for the 4 machine that we saw at the end of the stage. Zach, just trends that we were seeing before, they are popping up once again.
That they really are. That's definitely showing up again for that 4 machine. He really seemed like that was his issue, was he just had no drive off of 4, and when I'm watching every single time, right through the center of the corner, right as soon as he starts to get that truck pointed to go and exit, he's really counter steering, and that is something that is you're playing with fire there, as they would say. You can easily just overcorrect and really take yourself out of this race, and that's what the 4 doesn't need to do. That's what exactly opposite of what he needs, and even the 11 there sliding off the 4. So again, these trucks, yeah, they're tight through the center and they're a little bit loose in, but that exit of the corner still very, very loose off.
And as the drivers continue to race around here tonight, always a possibility of a yellow, and to ride on board, get a sense of what it's like hopping on board with that of the 00 of Ethan Smith. Was on the hard charge. Ethan Smith must win scenario for the 00, and he's flirt with disaster as well coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, I think this is a condition a lot of these guys maybe didn't expect to be happening to them this late into the run, but yeah, it seems like a lot of guys fighting that wheel there as they come off the exits of these corners. So tough thing to deal with, but you know, this puts it into the driver's hands in my opinion. As a driver, this is, you know, personally how I'd rather it drive if I was out there, because it gives you that ability to really work the throttle, work that wheel, and really make the difference up on your competition. And right now, it's showing up on the score sheet as really the only person out there really running very, very quick times is that leader, Mark Whitley, who's just seemed to have really got that truck in the management mode.
Another driver that's been running some pretty quick times, but he's caught up to traffic. That's GT Irizarry in the 14. He's dealing with some front-end damage for the 14. He's been looking good on the ticker board until he caught up to that of Cody Reed, and really the tail end of the battling of drivers from 4th all the way back to 7th place. And a lot of these drivers just trying to hold on the best that they can, but you can see that front end being crinkled up for GT, and he's trying to run the best as they're trying to go possibly 3 wide here with Mark Morales on the outer group.
Yeah, that is definitely tough to do here. Tough to do is for sure. Is go 3 wide. It's just very hard to pinch that truck off and make it want to turn without wanting to spin there. You can see Reed had a very big moment coming off of 2 there as he passed Morales. Now we'll see can Irizarry get past the 25, because he's definitely shown a lot of pace. Like you said, he's been turning some of the fastest times, and just a great run and exit off of 4. And it just shows the power of the 14's guy right now as this rear tires are hooking up.
He's rolling at this current moment, able to make the pass. Now going to be up to 8th position as he'll have to make a little bit of a push forward again up to 7th. But even with the great speed that we're seeing right now from GT, the issue, a gap between himself and our leader is 7 seconds. And with every pass you make, the more wear and tear you put on, as John Forbes, the 11, trying to be the biggest, you know, coming into the night, he was one of the bigger underdogs. The most points he had to come through and make up. Wasn't able to get enough stage points to make that difference. He now is a must-win scenario, as behind him, Nick Crawford, also seems like the 11, kind of drifting into the corner, hoping that the truck sticks every single time.
Yeah, I think these guys are probably sitting here worrying if this run goes any longer than it already has, they're going to be in a tough spot. And that 4, he is struggling to keep the rear end underneath him. Every single time he enters the corner, the rear end's out. Every single time he almost exits the corner, the rear stepping out. So when you're trying to manage that, it's tough to have. And he's luckily got his teammate Cedric Hunter behind him in the 13th. I think has been kind of playing nice here, trying to, you know, let this 4 really hold on to this spot here. But at some point, that 14's going to be caught up to him, and that's what's going to make this tough, because that 4 machine is just, tires have just gone away.
They're fading away, and they're probably going to be finding them spots into other places for themselves, as some sponsors for the ISRC that we got to give thanks to Race Car Graveyard. Race Car Graveyard is the title sponsor for that of the ISRC Truck Series. If you're looking to go get yourself some die casts from that 1/24 to 1/64 ratios, new, used, or custom, they've got it all. And remember, at purchase to use RCGY to receive a 10% discount on your next purchase at Race Car Graveyard, as well as all the other amazing sponsors for the ISRC. That of LP24 Clothing, as well as Larry Art Productions. Larry Art Productions was our stage break sponsor. Thank you so much to Larry Art Productions, as they have been a major supporter of the ISRC Truck Series, and also the title sponsor of the 31 of Danny Cochran, as we are seeing these drivers continue to race on other sponsors, that of Morecast, Color Teal Graphics, and 213 Simware. Thank you to all the amazing sponsors for that, the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, to allow us at Freaky Fast Broadcasting to give you the coverage all season long as the 4 continues to drift around. Zach, it is now, I would say, a ticking time bomb of when we're going to see drivers fall off and who's going to bring out that yellow.
That it is. It really, really is, Sam. And I tell you, you know, the 4 is struggling. He is. He really is. The 24 here is still doing a great job that we're watching, but the 4 is struggling, but also that 00 Ethan Smith, he's really hit a cliff. He's starting to run 20-second laps out here, and really not a lot of drivers in that 20-second bracket. I mean, other than actually Fonseca and Bo Cochran that last time too. So it seems like maybe even our top, 2 through the 4th positions there are really starting to struggle. Really the only person not feeling that condition, it seems like Mark Whitley's still in the 1980s.
Yeah, the only driver in a very comfortable 1980, which is wild to think, is John Forbes drifts it even more on the entry of the corner. That 11 is just burning up those tires more and more. And Zach, I mean, what is the conditions for these drivers to even try to hold on to these trucks with the way we're seeing them just drift into the corner and some drifting out?
Yeah, this is one thing that is tough to deal with if you're a driver, because once it starts happening, it almost keeps getting worse. And you can do things to change that up. You can, really, roll out that gas a lot easier on the initial, into the corner to try to make that weight transfer not as aggressive. And then also not get on that brake as hard. If you lift a little bit sooner, use a little bit less brake, it will not shift that weight as far to the nose. And you're seeing it. I mean, these guys are just straight. The nose of the truck is just wanting to rotate right on the entry of the corner. And that only makes things worse down here in 3 and 4 when they're trying to exit off the corner, because those rear tires get hot from that sliding there. So you're going to see, look, another slide there from the 11 machine, and it just compiles. It gets worse every single lap as you start to build that heat up. One thing they can play with, though, is that brake bias. Dial some front brake in there. Try to make that truck not want to rotate as much on entry. That should help the tire temperature, which should help the rest of the balance through the rest of the corner.
And as well as this race continues to go on, those small adjustments are going to be crucial, because I believe, Zach, these drivers should be good on fuel. At the time of that stage break, fuel shouldn't be an issue. It's more so the tires that the drivers were concerned about. And if you come into pit road under a green flag pit stop, you are going at least 2 laps down, if not more.
Yeah, it may even possibly be 3 here, because of just how, short the lap is and how the style of the pit road is. So that'll definitely be an interesting case if someone tries that. But yeah, you can go 140 laps on fuel, so no problems with fuel. It's just going to be a tire deal for the rest of these guys. Is now finally Cedric Hunter. He's gone to the inside of this 4 machine. He's gone past him. We'll see. Does the 13 have, the pace to go up here and take away points from drivers up here? That's another thing that the 13 can go do and help his teammate, is pass these guys who are struggling. And I can already see that 13, he's got a lot of drive off compared to these guys in front of him.
And he is the fastest driver on track at this current moment. Issue, he's 7.5 seconds back from our leader, and I think he might have gotten that. Oh boy, John Forbes gets holds on somehow side by side with the 13. And for GT, he's going to be moving forward, some side-by-side action, 2 rows deep right now as 13 makes the pass cleanly and goes forward. We're starting to see that speed difference kick in, but that 11 and the 4, if they somehow get too close to one another with the way that we've been seeing their rear ends kick out, that looks to be the catalyst on where our yellow could happen, as Cedric Hunter in a blink of an eye already to the back bumper of the 00.
Yeah, I think he had a lot of pace in hand. I think he was definitely playing the nice game with this teammate in the 4, saying, look, I'll ride behind you. But at some point, you got to make, race your own race out here. And I think that's what the 13 is elected to do. And right now you can see a little bit of a slide there in entry for him, but just a nice, clean, easy pass. And it just shows that he's really been able to make the tires last better than the group around him. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him drive almost up to second with the pace he has.
In a 19.7. We haven't seen a 19.7 for about 20 laps. That is incredible pace by Cedric Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, if he can do that to the rest of the race, be 3/10 faster than our leader, then he'll have a good spot. But the 00, he's going to be in a tough spot here. He's going to be 3 wide almost, and GT backs out of it. Smart call from him there. But that 00, he's having just like the same troubles that the 11 and the 4 are going through right now. These guys have just really overcooked the tires.
And again, the report on Cedric Hunter, he needed another 19.7. He obviously, like you said, he was playing nice behind his teammate. Those tires are saved up. They're good. But how much will he overcook them by putting down these burner laps, as GT is already trying to get by Ethan Smith and Nick Crawford trying to just hold on. But this 14, not as fast as that of Cedric Hunter, but obviously has a little bit more pace than these drivers in front. So he's trying to just make this pass as clean as possible, but in a blink of an eye, you obviously can make contact, and that is the one thing that they're trying to stay away from as well, having a great drifting show in front of John Forbes.
Yeah, there's a lot of drifting going on right here. The 31 already passed by the 13. I mean, he's flying. A 1973. Mark is in the 20s right now. This is 3/10 a lap. I mean, I'm not going to put it out of the realm where he can actually run him down to the rest of this race. If this continues where he can keep the tires underneath him, and this is, you brought it up, Sam. This is a track that Cedric has done these things before. He is very, very good at making the long run work, and it's really the line he runs. He runs such a lower line in 1 and 2, doesn't overstress those tires by carrying a lot of speed in the initial part of the run, and it just seems like it just gets better and better for him as the run goes on. I would not be surprised if he's on the back bumper of Fonseca within 5 laps.
I mean, we were talking with Cedric before this race, during the practice, and you kind of getting their thoughts of how this race is going to go. And he said, I just don't feel good about qualifying. That was going to be this weak point. It was once they got to race pace where he felt like that's where the strength was going to be. And obviously, we're seeing it right now as he's going to be passing down to Mark Morales, but already starting to see Ollie Fonseca in the picture. It's 1 second already taken off the list. He's gone. For that Cedric Hunter from speed 7.5 seconds back from our leader, now down to 6.5, and a yellow flag comes out as it's going to be John Forbes and GT Rizzari.
Yeah, and that was that was all building up there with all the racing going on between that group of 4 really there, and just think it was a little bit of contact there as I don't know where the 11 was going here as we'll see this instant replay. I can understand cutting down the racetrack here, but we'll have to see here coming off of turn number 1 is a little contact there. The 11 gets loose into the door of the 14. The 14 takes a very shallow entry here. This is very, very shallow and given tons of room. Just 11 just says, I don't know if he got loose on entry when he touched the brake, but it just shot him down the racetrack and right into the 14. I mean, really, you got to put that on the 11.
Yeah, I mean, John Forbes tried everything he could there, but obviously that arc just was not giving any space to anyone around. But now, pit stops underway, everyone into pit road. It's time to get your new tires, see how these freshies are going to work, as it's going to be a quick dash to the end of this race.
That it will be, and this is a good sight for the 00, the 11 machine. I mean, this gives them a shot, and even the 4 also, to really try to make those tires last to the end of this race. I mean, we saw our longest run right there, and the struggles were real for a lot of trucks out there. And even, I mean, this gives a chance for Cedric Hunter. I mean, can he make something different here for that 13 machine maybe, and with not holding back his pace like he did?
And Cedric Hunter, a very slow time rolling down and out of pit road for the 13. Just was not able to get into his box as cleanly as other drivers. Actually lost the position of Danny Cochran, and I believe that could have been a little bit of playmanship there, Zach. We talked about how Mark Whitley got trapped in 4th place earlier on in this race because he was starting in 3rd on the bottom. Now Cedric Hunter, he's going to be on that 4th position on the outside. I think that could have been a little bit of play by the 13.
I think you're exactly right. I think he wanted to restart up top because he knows. I think that 77, he's been doing it all night. He's been restarting in the top groove. I think the 77 will like to do that, and then that gives him what the 31 had earlier in the race. You get to see the back bumper of the leader and really be able to judge it a lot better than those drivers in front of you. So it's going to be interesting to see. And even the 24, he had very good pace to start off the run. He was actually really matching that 77. How much will he challenge him here? If he can slot in the second is going to be the question for a lot of us. So definitely a still a lot up in the air here in these final 35 laps of this race, but it's going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be what decides our final 4 here for a championship.
Well, we know that of Cedric Hunter is in the good based on where the drivers are running currently right now. It would be Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran, as well as Cedric Hunter and Nick Crawford that would be racing for a championship next week at Phoenix. But we still got ourselves plenty of racing action to go. It's going to be that of 34 laps left in tonight's run here at North Wilkesboro for that of the Logan lead 175. It's crazy to think this season is almost over. You've got so many storylines. You got that of Mark Whitley trying to go for redemption after his mishaps at season 1 when he thought he should have won the championship then. You've got that of Danny Cochran hoping for his chance to go for redemption after last week. Then the 2 rookies from Snowy Desert Racing hoping to shine as we're back to green flag racing here tonight.
Yeah, big start from Whitley there, but almost 3 wide as Cochran thought about sticking it to the inside of the 24. But here comes the 13 of Cedric Hunter around the top side. He's going to try to make it happen, but the 4 behind him is the 24 up into the 13, washes him up the racetrack. That's going to check up the outer groove.
And also going to be collecting that of Trenton Jump. Is going to get a little bit of scrubbing action, as well as Ethan Smith. And Nick Crawford spins, overcorrects, and I'll be able to stay out of the outside while we stay green. A scary spot for the Ford machine as we continue to bounce forward. Ethan Smith, Trenton Jump is getting a lot more aggressive. That front bumper has given some hard shots to the 00. And Jump, I think he might be recognizing the situation he's in. He needs to be moving forward if he wants to go fight and defend for his championship.
That he does, man. This is going to get a little bit spicy, I believe, here in this final portion of the race. As these drivers know everything is on the line. As the 46 thought about taking it to the outer groove, but the 00 closes the door on him. Now the 46 down to the inside, puts it to the rear bumper of that 00. He knows he's got to get going if he wants to try to have any shot at this. And with that incident there with the 4, Nick Crawford, that's a tough break for him because the caution did not come out. Luckily for him, only 11 drivers on the lead lap. He only falls back to 9th, so it wasn't too big of a hit.
Update for the 14. Might have saw him fall down the leaderboard. That is GT Rizari. He had a black flag. He had to come into pit road and serve a drive-through penalty. The 14's back out on track, but he is on the lead lap. He needs a yellow to get back into this thing as you still stay on board. Trent Jump running in 6th place. Ethan Smith in 5th. These are 2 drivers in must-win scenarios as they are battling, and they need to get moving forward because right now Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran, Cedric Hunter in prime positions where they need to be.
Yeah, they are prime positions indeed, and they'll be looking to move on to the Final 4, but who will join these 3 here up front? We'll have to see as Fonseca. Out.
He gets into Ethan Smith, and Smith spins around.
Oh, this sets up some interesting antics out there for sure as the 46 into that 00, and I'm sure the 00 not going to be too happy as we're going to get this instant replay to see exactly how it all shook out here. Off of 4, you're going to see the racing hard here, the 00 up top, the 46 down below. 2 drivers looking at must-win spots here. 46 drives it in deep, but the 00 also going to come down the racetrack here, trying to hold on that left dash line there. But the 46 was there as just 2 drivers going for the same real estate on the track.
They're going for it all, and they're recognizing it is go time at this current moment. And now, Zach, we got to run about a handful of green flag green flag laps. They got 1 set left of tires, and Nick Crawford, Ethan Smith, GT Rizari all into pit road.
I like this call. You got nothing left to lose, in my opinion here, especially if this thing does go green. You're going to have a little bit of advantage with tires. You're going to have to go up there and win it if you're especially the 00. I like it for the 4 because he's going to be, on fresh tires, trying to get as many spots available to him, but he's just hoping that possibly one of these guys don't go win. So his best friend is Mark Whitley winning this race, Fonseca or Cochran or Hunter, because if one of the other drivers that are, in position playoff-wise, if they win and they get themselves in, Danny could be the one looking to slot himself into that 4th position because of the points he's gained over this race on the 4, Nick Crawford.
As with all the bonus points that have been grabbed so far, and that's not accounting for the 1 bonus point of incident points. We will not know that bonus point until the end of this race on who gets that extra bonus point. I would imagine with the way everyone's been beating and baying, I don't think anyone's got an instant point left to give here tonight as Mark Whitley, Ollie Fonseca, Danny Cochran, Cedric Hunter, Trent Jump, your top 5. As this race is coming to a close, the end of the season is coming to a close. And guess what? Your time to go get yourself some clothing for the holiday season is coming to a close as well. And if you want some of the best clothing out there, well, make sure you're repping some of the best broadcasts out there. That at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we got our merch, we got hoodies, t-shirts, and more for purchase. And go head over to our store to go get yourself some merch of Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
And while you're also checking that out, you might as well go check out one of the best button boxes out there in sim racing. And not only does it give you the driver functionality that most button boxes do in sim racing, but the admin box will also allow you to admin a race, do whatever you need to control your field and be able to really be in control of your race. So make sure you head on over to adminbox.com and use that promo code there you see on the screen, FFB/BOXX. You get a discounted purchase, and then you can have yourself race control at your fingertips.
It's going to be that of Mark Whitley, Ollie Fonseca. Cedric Hunter is going to be on the outside with Danny Cochran to the inner groove. How will drivers work this one out? Top 8 old tires, that of Nick Crawford, Ethan Smith, GT Rizari just got some fresh rubber. They're going to be trying to march their way forward. Ethan Smith, as well as Trent Jump, and also that of John Forbes, all in a must-win scenario. Mark Whitley, as well as Danny Cochran, all hoping to go for a win. Cedric Hunter's hoping to win to save his teammate. As we're back to Green Flag Racing here in North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, this is going to get real spicy, folks, so buckle up and get ready for the ride as here comes the 13 around the top side. And remember the contact between him and the 24 before. This is his chance to get the position back.
And here comes that of Cedric Hunter on the outside, trying to rip the top. Got to make sure you're aggressive here. Cody Reed, he's hoping to be aggressive on that 25 machine. But we see the tires further on back. The duel between Ethan Smith and that of Nick Crawford. It's going to be Smith leading the charge as he comes up to his teammate up front. Ollie Fonseca able to clear himself over Cedric Hunter. Top 3 going to be single filing out. It's Cody Reed still trapped on the outside. A little bit of a bump to Danny onto the 13. And they are still scrapping for it. 20 laps to go here tonight.
Everything still on the line for all of these drivers out here. They know this could be the run to the end of the race, and they need every little spot they can. But here comes the 31 trying to get past the 25 as he's been able to lose that spot to the 13 due to all this racing here. But here comes the 00 back there in the background. He's going to get to the inside of the 11 of John Forbes there himself, and he's going to be right on the back bumper of this 46. This could be fireworks.
Where do you go? How do you place your vehicle? Everyone's practically running that inside lane as Ethan Smith trying to figure out how to place himself forward, but his teammates going to be boxing him on the outside. Ethan Smith wasn't able to get to the outside quarter panel, blocking by Trent Jump. Jump gets knocked out of the way. A little bit of payback from earlier, and now the 00 going to be moving up to 6th position. He's in prime spot, but he needs to make at least a pass every 2 laps now.
That he does, man. He's going to have to really fly up there and catch this 77. Can he do it is going to be the question. Can he be the first 3-time Final Four driver here at the ISRC and be able to do it each and every time this season? It's going to be tough to do, but here comes his shot here as he's going to look to the inside of this 31 and also the 25 of Reed. You know he's not going to make it hard on that 00.
He's trying everything he can. Trenton Jump, just too much damage. He's forced into pit road. Black flag for the 46 machine, as also going to be seeing this battle of Ethan Smith. Cody Reed drifts up. He's going to be putting a little bit of a block to the 31, and that is exactly what you're asking for your teammate. Cody Reed helping out his teammate of Ethan Smith. Smith now up to 4th place. He's a 2.5 seconds back. 15 to go. Zach, it's possible for Ethan to make this charge.
It definitely is. This is still within the realm, but can he keep the tires in a good enough state here to run down?
Contact Cody Reed and Danny Cochran. They somehow hold on, and that's exactly what Nick Crawford needs as well.
Oh, man, it's fireworks here as Nick Crawford needs every spot he can. He's with John Forbes and Cody Reed. He's in the blackjack sandwich here as he knows he can't take too much risk. He doesn't want to get knocked out of this race, but he needs to get going. Here's now the 25 going to have a boxed in. This is a tough deal here as the 25 is definitely going to be looking to get that inside to his teammate.
Trying to go 3 wide, but Nick Crawford just knows he can't make that move, and now he's got the wall of Blackjack Racing. This is what could be ending Nick Crawford's championship hopes if Ethan Smith wins this race.
It very well could be. This is not what the 4 wants to see, but now he's going to look to get to the inside, but there's the 14. The 14 luckily backs out for his sake, but the teammates are into it like you said there. Now the 4 going to be to the inside of the 11 almost.
It was all good, but then it goes up in smoke. John Force just grabbed a little bit too much that inside lane. Now Nick Crawford recognizing he needs to make this pass, get in front of Danny Cochran, and as well needs to hope that Ethan Smith doesn't win this race.
That he definitely doesn't. I tell you what, also, the 00 can't look too far forward. The 46 is going to be in position here to possibly, maybe get a little bit of retaliation on, never say it's not possible because we've seen it before here, and now we'll see how it all shakes out.
It was the 46 last season that got intentionally wrecked by that of Danny Cochran, and now the 46 heavily damaged. And will he try to get some payback on the 00? They've had their bickers, they've had their squabbles, and now, Zach, it's time to see will anything happen between the 00 and the 46. Trent Jump, he didn't go all the way high. He's going to hold where he's at. He's going to side draft, try to hold off that of Ethan Smith the best that he can. Gets in the outside wall, and that's all he's going to do. Or will he? He's right to the back bumper. He taps him. Smith spins around, and that's a disqualification for both.
And that knocks him out. He's out of the race for both of them, and that right there takes every chance away from the 00, and man, oh man, this thing has just changed everything.
They're both disqualified. Ethan Smith and Trent Jump, throw him out of the way. There is no battle anymore for that. John Forbes now going to be on the hunt. He's the only driver that can win and bump out one of our Final Four drivers.
This just right there just changed every little thing there. The 00 thought maybe he had a shot, but the 46 comes back to get him, and that bump there disqualified both of them, like you said there, Sam. And I tell you, man, there's going to be some words after this race.
Oh my goodness, the heart racing for Nick Crawford, the hopes of, oh goodness, am I going to get bounced out with the way Ethan Smith had caught up to our top 3. You thought maybe it was possible, but Nick Crawford can breathe a little bit easier now, knowing John Forbes damaged, wounded, and not even at the close speed. He's just the 11 struggling just to stay on track at this point. But now, Zach, our Final 4 that enter tonight, well, it's looking like they're going to be the 4 that move out of tonight.
That it is, man. It looks like that's going to be the way it plays out here. Is looking at how this is shaking out. Looks like the 13 might have a shot here to battle the 24, but he's got nothing to lose here for both of these drivers. And I mean, really, you know, a lot to lose for next week. So I think the 13, he might play a little nice here, you know, not race the 24 too hard here, because you don't want to make any enemies going in there, because we just saw what can play out if you make someone very mad.
And Blackjack Racing, who has been in the Final Four every single season, well, none of their drivers are going to be able to make it this go around. 3 laps to go for that of Mark Whitley here at North Wilkesboro, and another short track, another dominator, but yellow flag comes out. John Forbes spins out, and we talked about how he was struggling just to hold on. This might have got a little bit of assistance, but the 11 goes around.
Yeah, I think he got a little bit of help there from the 14 at GT, as those two have had multiple incidents now in this race, and this sets up a green-white checkered. This is not what Mark Whitley wanted to see. I mean, you know, we got possibly 3 attempts here, and he's been super dominant here ever since he's got to that lead. But the floor, he's on fresher tires than this group up here. Will he have a chance here? Because we saw Whitley, he restarts up top. Does he give that chance to the 4 to be able to get to the outside of this group here and have a shot at him? I mean, you know, the 4 is in a good spot. I don't think he really needs to risk anything. So there's, you know, there should be no, you know, I would say extracurricular activities. So we'll see how it shakes out. But man, what a crazy race this has been. It just shows again the ISRC Truck Series. It always has some twist or turn right when you're coming down to the end of this thing.
I mean, for Trent Jump, if you're thinking, oh, wow, how could he do that? It has been a complete frustration on his side. Blackjack Racing have been obviously the black sheep of the season. They have been fast, but they've been around controversy all season long. Trent Jump, all the times that he's had an opportunity to win at a race, it's been a Blackjack Racing driver that's collected him in an accident. So he's just fed up, and he didn't want to give Ethan Smith an opportunity after their squabble here tonight. Said, if I'm not making the Final Four, you're not making the Final Four. And that's why we saw that action. But take us now to hone into this moment that we're in. We are now in overtime. We got 3 attempts if needed. We're on our first attempt currently. It's going to be 2 laps for these drivers. If we get to the 1 to go marker, this race will become official. But if a yellow flag comes out on that first lap, then we will go into another attempt. If the same thing happens on that second attempt, where the yellow flag comes out on that first lap before we get to the 1 to go marker, then we will go into attempt number 3. There's some different rules for attempt number 3, so we'll get to those if needed. But we're now at the start of overtime. Attempt number 1, Zach, Mark Whitley, he's got to hope that he can hold on.
That he does, man. He's going to have a hard charger there in the 4 here, looking to maybe make something happen here at the end. But again, like I said, just there's no risk here. This race, yeah, you want to get a win. I mean, everybody wants to get a win. It's definitely in your mind as a race car driver when you're out there doing this thing. But you know what is on the line. I just don't think the 4 is going to take too many risks here. But we'll see. I mean, because look, the 77 looks like he's going to take the top groove. That's going to give the 4 that chance to kind of judge it based off this 77. So, I mean, it gives him a shot. But I think at the same time, you don't want to make enemies heading into, you know, a final race where you want to race for a championship, especially with somebody you know you're going to be racing.
And Zach, John Forbes, the 11, he still, I don't believe he's gotten his drive-through penalty just yet on the amount of incident points that he's grabbed, but he did just take 2 tires. We'll see if that's going to help him survive and go for a final push, because John Forbes is the only driver that is outside of our Final 4 coming in tonight, that he is in a must-win scenario now. He's all the way back in 7th. We'll see if he can make this charge. But up front, Mark Whitley trying to get another win this season. Ollie Fonseca trying to get his 2nd win. Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter, they're just hoping to make it to the end of this race, as it is time for our first attempt at overtime. And already contact for our leaders. Restart is going. They're scattering. That's exactly what John Forbes needs, as they're 3 wide behind. But it's going to be Mark Whitley, Ollie Fonseca, Nick Crawford. Their squabbling isn't over just yet.
No, it definitely is. Here comes the 4. The 24 covers them off, throws the block, but they just need to see the white flag here coming out of 4.
John Forbes on the outside. He goes from 7th, now up to 6th. He's trying to move up to 5th place. He's got to pass that of 6 different drivers. Ollie Fonseca going to be diving it down low. Not close enough. It's your ride rad white flag. Mark Whitley holds on for now. John Forbes just not able to move forward. Mark Whitley, will he be tapped? He gets bumped by Ollie. John Forbes is wall riding. John Forbes is trying. It won't work. Mark wins.
What a crazy finish there, Mark Whitley. Awesome job by him holding off to everybody, because that restart went sideways there right off the get-go. He wins the race. Fonseca second, Crawford in third, and Forbes somehow comes home fourth after riding the wall. I mean, I had a feeling it was coming. I knew he needed something big, but whew, man, that was nuts.
He tried everything possible, and tonight, whew, man, 3 disqualifications. Trent Jump, GT Rosari, and Ethan Smith, those 3 that got disqualified, and the one driver who finally got that lead spot, got the fresh air, and dominated it from there. It is Mark Whitley in the 77. What a race, what a squabble, and we'll give you more. We got our post-race show. We'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Freaky Fast Broadcasting post-race show for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. This was the last race of the round of 8 to set the stage. Who was racing for a championship next week? And you certainly got a madhouse and certainly a full of madness here tonight. You saw drivers getting disqualified, getting retaliations for how the season's gone. And we are left with our 3 drivers in the top 3, Nick Crawford, Ollie Fonseca, Mark Whitley. And we'll talk to our 3rd place finisher, that of Nick Crawford, to start things off. Nick, it is Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on a top 3 finish. Based on our calculations, you are also into the final 4. Congratulations on that. Man, how are you feeling after that madness at the end?
Yeah, that was something, Sam. Hi, Sam. Hi, Zach. Hi, Robert. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I think early on when I got doored on the left side, it was kind of set the precedent for the race. And it was really about survival, and it kind of all fell the right way with the restarts and when I got tires. So, yeah, I don't know who was looking out, but I got lucky.
Well, Nick, I tell you what, buddy, that was a wild race and definitely a good ending there for you. But take us through that middle portion of the race, that long run. It had looked very, very tough out there. There was a few guys along with you struggling really hard there at the end.
Oh, I'm straight up trash, Zach, when it comes to these tracks. I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out. I can be kind of fast, and then Cedric was waiting behind me, and he's like, hey, if you want to go, I can make sure to pass those other guys too, so you're not really losing points. I was like, oh yeah, sure. And he just pulls away by like 3 seconds in 2 laps. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I'm gonna blame it on the damage, but it's probably driving skill.
Well, Nick, your driving skill, yes, it maybe didn't get you the win, but it's gotten you to the final 4 for a championship. You're heading to Phoenix next week. It's the last race of the season. How are you feeling about it going into this part of the last race of the season?
It's a lot of tough competition. You got guys like Mark and Cedric that racing all week in different leagues. I don't know what other leagues Danny's in, but I know he practices. So I gotta practice, but I don't think much is gonna change in a week. So maybe I can get a little lucky and see where that takes me.
Well, Nick, we hope that the luck is somehow there for you. As for tonight, congratulations on top 3 finish, and now the floor is yours for any shoutouts.
Oh, of course, I want to thank you guys for broadcasting. I want to thank my beautiful wife for supporting me as always, my teammates doing the most. And then also, I want to thank ISRC for creating the Boxing Ring channel because I'll have a lot of reading material tonight.
That is going to be Nick Crawford in the 4. Congratulations on making the Final 4, and good luck next week for that championship race. As we go from 3rd place, we had a 2nd, where we have that of Ollie Fonseca in the 24. Another fantastic run by the 24 machine. Ollie, congratulations on 2nd place. You got Sam and Zach up in the booth with you. You know, the playoffs, your takeaway last week at Indy, you have been very consistent for yourself, but man, how are you feeling after your performance here tonight?
Uh, pretty thrilled, but also just it's a little bittersweet. I wanted that one bad, man. I wanted it really bad. I mean, I even tried to give him the old bump and run going into 3. I couldn't move him out of the groove the way I wanted to. But I mean, I had a good night all in all. I ran about 2nd or 3rd most of the night and got my first pole of the season. So that's pretty good night. I really don't have much to complain about.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, that was a great run and a great valiant effort there at the end to almost pull that off there and get to the back bumper at 77, man. But all night long, we've seen a lot of guys as the run went on. It definitely seemed to be a handful coming off the exit of the corners. How were you able to manage it so well?
I'll be honest with you, that late yellow definitely kind of saved me. I mean, I probably wouldn't have lost too much aside from Cedric, but I was getting way too loose on exit of the corner, and it's crazy because the whole week I'd been fighting loose going in. But late in that run, I was definitely getting squirrely, just not being able to get into the gas the way I wanted to coming off the corner. But I guess that's a better problem to have than being loose in. So I just kind of stuck with it, and then the yellow came out, and it was like, oh boy, here we go.
Well, certainly that yellow changed a lot going into overtime, and it was a madhouse for us up at the booth to call. A lot of other shenanigans also happening throughout this race. But Ollie, we got one more race left in this season. How are you feeling heading to Phoenix next week?
With the amount of momentum I've had the past few weeks, I'm pretty happy about it. I'm excited. I actually really I know a lot of people don't really like Phoenix, but it's probably one of my favorite tracks actually. It just you have so many options there with the dog leg and all that. So I'm looking forward to see where I can be quicker than the rest of them.
We can't wait to see it, Ollie. As for tonight, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
Yeah, of course. I just want to thank my parents, my grandparents. I wish I could have got the win, but this one's for Mark. I miss him. I love him. I know he's watching. He was with me tonight. He always is. And then, obviously my spotter, Brandon, he does a hell of a job. Ever since he joined, I've just been so much better, especially the past few weeks. He just does an amazing job on the box. So I wouldn't be able to do it without him. A&G compressor parts, got another podium for them. So that's pretty cool. And just everyone who watches and supports me and the rest of these guys who race every Monday night, just shout out and thanks to all of them.
Well, that's going to be the 24 of Ollie Fonseca. Congratulations on 2nd place finish here tonight, and good luck at Phoenix next week.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
As we go from 2nd place, we bring in our winner of the night, the driver that's been on a tear after the bump last week and caught up in the mess. Mark Whitley, what a redemption run for yourself coming out of last week. Congratulations on your win here tonight. Man, how are you feeling after that one? Because I know through your mirror, it looked chaotic.
First, relief. 2nd, excitement. And 3rd, drain just from all the nerves. It was, yeah, oof, I'm telling you, especially that green, white, checkered, probably took about 10 years off my lifespan.
Yeah, I can only imagine, Mark. That was definitely nerve-wracking times, especially with the contact from the 24 there right off the get-go. How did you recover all of that quickly, man? Because I know it's tough to do when you're in those moments like that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened. I think he was just trying to hold me up as high as he could, and I was trying to just get a straight of drive off, and I think we just kind of came together. And I really thought when it first happened, it kind of felt like net code, and I'm like, well, our race is done, and it didn't really affect us as bad as I thought it would, and I just kind of kept my foot in it, and it didn't wheel spin too bad, and got up through the gears and went down into one a little bit deeper, just trying to clear them, and coming off the corner, got a little clear, and I knew he was going to use the bumper because he didn't have anything to lose, so I was just ready for it, and he got me the first time, and it upset his car a little bit more. Then the second lap, I got through 1 and 2 good, and he had a good gap, and I'm like, either he's going to dive bomb it or I'm just going to be able to get it. And then I went down into 4 on the last corner, and I saw him coming. I'm like, well, brace for impact. And I saw him, and as soon as he hit me, I tried to keep the wheel as straight as possible, and it moved me up the hill a little bit, but I was able to keep it going and get back to the gas and get back to the start-finish line. And I'm telling you, I was really wanting that race to just go green at the end there, and I didn't think it'd be that exciting at the end, but getting the win, winning all the cutoff races is pretty cool and also very, very nerve-wracking to say the least.
I would imagine it's pretty nerve-wracking to see that happen like it was, Mark. Here tonight, though, you are officially with this win locked into the Final Four. How are you feeling headed into Phoenix next week, knowing that you are battling for a championship that you just missed out on Season 1, but come back here for Season 3, you've got a chance for it now.
Yeah, it feels great, especially being able to get on this kind of a roll. Last week, small mistake put us in the field, and just stuff happens when you're in the middle of the field like that, and felt like one got away last week. And the whole playoffs, other than that, though, we've had only 2. I mean, that was the worst race, and we still got a top 10 out of it. Every other race we've been running up front, leading laps, and we won 3 of the cutoff races. I feel like our confidence level has got to be sky high right now. Phoenix, the track, it took me a while to get used to the new layout, but I really like the new layout now, and I've got a pretty good handle on it. So hopefully we can come in here tomorrow, not tomorrow, but next Monday, do what we did tonight, come in here, lead the most laps, go away into the sunset, and get the championship trophy we've been missing since Season 1. That's the goal. That's why we're here, and anything less is going to be disappointment. So we're going to give it all we got, and hope it's enough.
Well, Mark, again, congratulations on this win, and now the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, big shout-out Harpoon Design Brantley. He puts together all my paint schemes for all my leagues I do. He also does spotting work here on Monday nights for me. I appreciate all he does. Check him out at harpoondesign.com. You can also check out the stuff he's got on Trade and Paint. I think he's got 1,700 paint schemes on there if you want to check out what he's done previously. And other sponsor on board, Shop Angry Duck. They're a one-stop shop for all your custom racewear apparel, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, anything you can think of apparel-wise. They can make something custom for you, no order limits, and they'll have it to you in 2-3 weeks, I believe, is the turnaround time. So check them out at shopangryduck.com. And shout out to my family tuning in these broadcasts of races. Already got a text message from Granddad. Appreciate them always tuning in like they do, especially on the nights like tonight when you get to celebrate with your family. It's always a fun time. And shout out for y'all for putting on the broadcast. I know the whole race, I was having to get my elbows out the whole race because I knew this race mattered. So probably driving a little bit more aggressive than I have the last couple of races, and should be fun to go back and watch the race and see how everything turned out.
Oh, it is. It certainly is an entertaining one there, Mark. Congratulations again on your win, and good luck battling for that championship next week.
I appreciate it, Sam.
As we go from victory lane, let's take a look at those unofficial results. Much scrappier than I think some people could have expected. We saw this bubble up last season. Trenton Jump has been taken out multiple times last season. He was intentionally wrecked last season, and then this season he's been caught up in a lot of wrecks where he felt like he was a driver going for opportunities. And Zach, obviously not the way we wanted to see that go down at the end, but crazy stuff. As we look at our unofficial results, Mark Whitley's going to find himself going with the win and moving on to race for a championship. Ollie Fonseca's going to be in second. Nick Crawford will race for a championship. He is finishing in third. John Forbes just missing out, trying to do his best Ross Chastain impression. He'll come away just a little bit too far to move on for a Final Four championship run. Then you also have that of Cedric Hunter in fifth. He is going to be our third driver of our Final Four. And then in sixth place, Cody Reed. Seventh, Martin Morales Jr. Tyler Dingler is going to get eighth. Our fourth and final driver running for a championship going to be back there in ninth place of Danny Cochran, with GT Rizzari finishing out in 10th.
Yeah, man, what a crazy season this has been. And just a crazy end to it all here too. As you know, we see the rest of that lineup there. Just definitely some tough nights for some guys, Sam, but not, you know, and again, not the way like we wanted it to end. You know, I can never really condone doing something like that, and you know, intentionally getting into somebody, and you know, especially when it comes down to things like this. But at the same time, as a driver's side of things, frustrations boil over, and you can see stuff like that happen. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, penalties come out of this race going into next week, you know, the final race of Phoenix. But, you know, if you're willing to do that stuff, you got to be willing to take the punishment. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But yeah, again, a tough break for Ethan Smith there, but you know, it's racing, and we've seen it happen here before, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see it happen once again.
And now it's time to say goodbye to Trent Jubb, last season's champion, as well to Ethan Smith, that of Noah Steele, John Forbes. You had a great playoffs. You made it to the Elite Eight, but you will not be running for a championship anymore. The 4 drivers running for a championship next week. You've got that of the winners from this round. Cedric Hunter, Mark Whitley, they're good to move on. It's Nick Crawford and Danny Cochran going to be the next 2. And Zach, what makes next week so much fun? We have no repeat championship winners. We're going to have a first-time championship winner for the ISRC Truck Series, and they're going to be crowned next week.
Man, it is going to be, I mean, just a barn burner of a show, folks. I'll tell you, you think tonight was, you know, climactic? You know, this is going to be really a crazy climax to the end of this season. And, you know, Phoenix is a great racetrack also to put on a show. You know, I think you got to say Whitley is the favorite, but you got 3 other drivers in, you know, Hunter, Crawford, and also Cochran that easily can go out there and also put themselves in that same favorite category. It's just, you know, we see Mark be so dominant here late in the season, but we'll have to see who can bring it to him, man. This is what it's all about. And again, like you said, it's going to be a first-time champion at that, so it's going to be history in the making.
Can't wait for the history to come out and show us the incredible finish to season 3 for the incredible sim racing championship. These drivers will put on a great show all season long. But man, next week, can't wait for it. They go to Phoenix. But for this week, we still have another broadcast. That's tomorrow night. The Full Send Racing Series has their playoff action. Can't wait to give you more coverage from them. And then we're right back here. Championship Monday night. Hope to see you then. But for tonight, thank you for watching here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me was Zach Hall and Robert Moyer. And for everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for watching. Hopefully you have a safe rest of your night. And we'll see you on our next broadcast.